The Toltecs are a mysterious and obscure people from Mexico and Central America. Most of what we know about the Toltecs comes from Aztec legends, so pinpointing this mysterious culture can be divisive. Some think the Toltecs were a mother culture emerging around 900 CE, while others feel they were only Aztec folklore and nothing more than a myth. Join us as we try to answer the question, who were the Toltecs? According to Aztec oral history, and attested by their codices, the Toltecs were a wise and powerful empire. Civilized and wealthy, they lived in their magnificent city of Tollan, where the buildings were made of jade and gold. The Toltecs of Aztec historical legend were once led by a king named Quetzalcoatl, who invented all the Mesoamerican sciences and art. The Aztecs idolized the Toltecs and claimed to be their descendants. Quetzalcoatl was considered the ideal ruler, a noble warrior who led his people to military and commercial success. Quetzalcoatl was also at the heart of many Mesoamerican creation myths. This myth holds that the world was created when Quetzalcoatl fought with his brother Tezcatlipoca, after which they split a monster into pieces to make the sky and the earth. Supposedly, Quetzalcoatl stole bones from the Lord and Lady of the Underworld and used them to create humankind. The Aztec leaders asserted that they were descendants of this god king and had a divine right to rule. Aztec retellings portray Quetzalcoatl as a wise and humble king who taught the Toltecs how to measure time, write, and farm maize and cacao. He also taught them how to grow and process cotton to make clothing, and the art of goldsmithery, jade carving, and featherwork. The legend states that Quetzalcoatl built houses and temples for religious practices that had columns adorned with serpent reliefs. His dedication to religion angered the Tollan sorcerers, who tricked him into drunken behavior that disgraced him. Ashamed, Quetzalcoatl fled to the East Coast, where he dressed in divine feathers and a turquoise mask before setting himself alight and rising into the sky to become the morning star. Some Aztec stories say that Quetzalcoatl destroyed the city of Tollan before he left, burning the town, burying its riches, changing the cacao trees to shrubs, and sending the birds to the legendary land of Anahuac. But is there any truth in these tales, or are they just the Aztecs attempting to legitimize their rule? Sorting fact from fiction is difficult, and historians postulate different timelines and versions of events. Most historians agree that the Toltecs were a Nahuatl-speaking Mesoamerican tribe that came to power in what is now central Mexico in the 10th and 12th centuries CE. Some believe the Toltecs arrived on the historical scene in 900 CE when they sacked the city of Teotihuacan. However, others maintain that Teotihuacan fell around 750 CE when the peasants rose against the elite. Another theory, started by the 17th century Spanish and Aztec chronicler Fernando de Alva Cortés Ixtlilxochitl, is that Teotihuacan was a Toltec city, although most historians totally disagree with this. Even so, historians don't agree on who built this great city, although evidence shows influences from the Maya, Mixtec, and Zapotec cultures. The prevailing opinion is that the Toltecs migrated from the northwestern deserts sometime around the 8th or 9th century CE, and that they descended from the Tolteca Chichimeca people. The first Toltec settlement is thought to be at Coyoacan, during which time the tribe was under the leadership of Tecpatl Mixcotl. But Tecpatl Mixcotl may also be a mere legend, as his name, Mixcotl, translates to cloud serpent, which was the Mesoamerican name for the Milky Way. In the legends, Mixcotl was the son of the creator god and goddess, although who these creators were differs from one tradition to another. According to myth, Mixcotl was the father of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god, which mirrors the Toltec historical lineage. The Maya also had a folk hero known as the feathered serpent, or Kukulkan, suggesting that there was a cultural link between the Toltecs and the Maya. It could be that the first Toltec rulers styled and named themselves after famous Mesoamerican gods in order to be more accepted by the people of central Mexico. Some historians believe that some Toltec history is preserved in the legends, particularly the story of Quetzalcoatl's banishment from Tula. In one tale, it was Tezcatlipoca who expelled Quetzalcoatl for performing black magic. A number of scholars have linked Tezcatlipoca to the Teotihuacan culture, which aspired to priestly rule and peace. Many believe they dominated the Toltecs when they first arrived. The defeat of Quetzalcoatl may denote the replacement of religious rule with a more militaristic ruling class. The Toltecs were seen as cultured urbanites. The location of the legendary Toltec city of Tollan is still inconclusive, although most historians believe it lies near the modern-day town of Tula. An archaeological site in central eastern Mexico is the main contender for the Toltec capital, and the majority of scholars will cite this as the Toltec capital. Recent surveys of the site near Tula have revealed that the town covered an area of around 3 square miles and probably housed tens of thousands of people. The center of the city consisted of a plaza in front of a 5-step temple pyramid that was likely dedicated to the god Quetzalcoatl. There were also ball courts, at least 2 other temples, and a palace. The main temple is intricately decorated with friezes depicting canines, felines, birds of prey, eating human hearts, and serpents with human faces escaping from their jaws. Scenes of jaguars, wolves, coyotes, and rattlesnakes wrapped around skeletons attest to the warlike nature of the Toltecs, and many believe that the rise of the Toltecs marked the beginning of militarism in Mesoamerica. Atop the pyramid temple are large columns representing warriors dressed for battle. Historians believe that these columns would have once held up a roof structure. These stone carvings still have remains of color, suggesting that they were once brightly painted. Surrounding the city center is an area of dense urban housing, arranged in groups of 5 flat-roofed houses that surround a city courtyard that holds an altar. Tula's distinctive art and architecture are reflected in the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan, which confirms that the beliefs of this culture directly inspired the Aztecs. According to folklore, this city was rich in precious metals and gemstones, as well as huge agricultural sites that produced maize and cotton that naturally produced red, yellow, green, and blue hues. However, there have been no archaeological objects found at the site at Tula that attest to this material wealth, which historians think is due to centuries of looting and reclamation by nature. There is some indication that the Toltecs traded in obsidian, which was mined in the nearby region of Pachuca and used as arrowheads and blades. The link between the Toltecs and Maya is controversial amongst scholars and historians, and there is some dispute about who influenced whom. A prime example of this is the worship of the feathered serpent, as some argue that the cult was spread to the Maya via Toltec military conquest, and others maintain that worship of the feathered serpent god was already well established before the Toltec migration. Most historians agree that worship of the feathered serpent as a vegetation god began with the Teotihuacan civilization in and around the 3rd century BCE. The cult then underwent a dramatic change when the Nahuatl-speaking tribes, including the Toltecs, migrated from the north. The Toltecs put a huge emphasis on war and practiced human sacrifice as part of deity worship. At this time, Quetzalcoatl became linked to the morning and evening stars as a symbol of death and resurrection, and was intertwined with the Toltec origin myth. The Aztecs later took up the worship of Quetzalcoatl and used the Toltec legends to legitimize their own rule. Another Maya-Toltec controversy surrounds the city of Chichen Itza, which shares many architectural similarities with the site at Tula. Many early scholars believe that the Toltecs invaded from Tula, or Tollan, and inspired a new building style, although some historical accounts suggest a migration from Chichen Itza to Tula. Historians have speculated that the Toltecs invaded Chichen Itza, although recent studies suggest that a few exiled Toltec nobles traveled to the city and brought the Toltec culture with them. This theory is backed up by historical accounts from Tula that tell of a Toltec ruler traveling east and an account from Chichen Itza that records a ruler coming from the west and teaching the Maya. However, according to carbon dating of Chichen Itza, the Maya-style buildings were built at the same time as the ones displaying apparent Toltec influence, and that construction took place prior to the first recorded invasions of the Toltecs. The architectural and religious similarities between the two cities, which lie 800 miles apart, remain a highly contested anomaly. Whatever the Maya-Toltec relationship, it is generally agreed that the Toltecs conquered the Maya and maintained a hegemony over central Mexico until the mid-12th century. At their peak, the Toltecs had trade networks stretching as far south as Costa Rica and expanding northward to the Yucatan. The empire began to crumble in the 12th century. Nomadic people began invading from the north, including the Chichimeque tribe. It is thought that the Chichimeque were semi-nomadic non-agricultural people who adapted to a farming lifestyle when they supplanted the Toltecs as the region's main power. The Chichimek are believed to have destroyed Tula around 1200 CE, cementing their rule and causing the Toltec influence to wane. However, the Toltecs must have remained important figures in the region, as when the Aztecs rose to power at the beginning of the 14th century, they linked their culture and history to that of the Toltecs, despite some evidence that the Aztecs were one of the tribes that contributed to the Toltecs' demise. It seems likely that the leaders of the Toltecs created myths surrounding their ancestry that legitimized their rule. These myths were then picked up by the Aztecs and used for a similar purpose. This practice is not uncommon and has been demonstrated by leaders worldwide throughout history, with religion and leadership often going hand in hand. Due to the intrinsic links between fact and fiction, we may never truly know who the Toltecs were, but evidence suggests that they were a real tribe. The Toltecs successfully wove themselves into the fabric of Mesoamerican history and legend, creating an enduring mythology that is still discussed today. Do you have any views on the Toltec civilization? If you have any theories, we'd love to hear them, so drop us a comment below. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about the colonization of America, check out our book, Aztec History, a captivating guide to the Aztec Empire, mythology, and civilization. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Also, grab your free Mythology Bundle ebook while it's still available. All links are in the description. If you found the video captivating, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.